So, what if I were to tell you that you have never ever seen reality? Not once. What if everything you see around you right now, the room you're in, your own body, even space and time itself, is just a user interface? A kind of headset designed specifically to hide the truth from you.
That right there is the absolutely wild claim from cognitive scientist Donald Hoffman. And look, he's not just saying our perception is a little bit fuzzy or kind of distorted. No. He's saying that if you follow the math of evolution to its logical conclusion, you find that we are completely and totally blind to objective reality.
I mean, just think about that for a second. If you're not seeing reality, what is this screen? What are your hands holding your phone or your mouse? What is any of this stuff? Well, that is the mind-bending mystery we're going to try and unpack today. And you should know, this isn't some late-night philosophical debate. This idea comes straight from the cold, hard mathematics of evolutionary game theory. It's a conclusion that the math itself points to.
It all comes down to a theorem he calls fitness beats truth. So after running just countless evolutionary simulations, Hoffman's team found something absolutely stunning. The organisms that evolved to see reality as it actually is, they always went extinct, every single time. They were outcompeted by organisms that were totally blind to the truth and instead were just tuned into what he calls fitness payoffs.
The best way to think about it is like a video game, right? To win, all you need to do is collect the points, the food, the mates, whatever helps you level up. You do not need to see the circuits and the software code running in the background. In fact, if you did stop to analyze the code, you'd get crushed by a monster. Survival is about winning the game, not understanding the machine it runs on.
You see, evolution is just ruthlessly efficient. It doesn't give a single thought to truth. It only cares about what works to keep you alive. Trying to perceive the full, mind-boggling complexity of actual reality would be an incredible waste of energy. It would be a huge survival disadvantage. So natural selection just edited it out. It gave us a simple, streamlined system with only the cues we need to survive.
Okay, so if we aren't seeing the truth, what is this simplified system we're all using? Well, Hoffman's favorite metaphor is something you and I use every single day, a computer desktop. Think about a file icon on your screen. Is that file really a little blue rectangle? Of course not. The reality is this dizzying mess of circuits and voltages and software. The icon's entire job is to hide that complexity so you can just click it and get on with your day. Hoffman is arguing that our perception of the world does the exact same thing. That oak tree you see outside, that's not reality. That's the icon. I mean, we literally pay people to create these simple user interfaces for us just to make our lives easier. Well, evolution, the ultimate blind engineer, did the very same thing for us over millions and millions of years. Space, time, every object you see, they're just icons on a species-specific desktop, designed for us to take action, not to see what's actually there. Okay, and this is where it gets really, really weird. Because this isn't just some theory from cognitive science anymore. It turns out that physicists, looking at the universe from a totally different angle, are now arriving at a very similar and very startling conclusion. Space-time itself is doomed. For almost 100 years, quantum mechanics has been whispering to us that the world is not what it seems. We have experiments that prove that tiny particles don't have definite properties, like a specific location, until we actually look at them. This means the very act of observing something helps create the thing we see. That solid, stable world our interface shows us, it's fundamentally an illusion. And believe me, this is not a fringe idea. Some of the top physicists in the world, like Nima Arkani Hamed at Princeton, are now saying that spacetime, the very stage our universe plays out on, is not fundamental. It's just a projection, a data structure that emerges from something much, much deeper. A really tantalizing clue to what that deeper reality might be is a geometric shape called the amplitude-hedron. It's this object that exists completely outside of our spacetime. And here's the kicker. When physicists use this shape to calculate how particles interact, equations that would normally take up hundreds of pages of paper suddenly become a single, simple calculation. It's like we've been trying to solve a puzzle with the wrong rulebook, and this object just handed us the real one. So, if reality isn't space-time and physical objects, then what in the world is it? What's behind our interface? Well, Hoffman proposes a really radical, but mathematically precise answer.
He argues that the fundamental building blocks of reality are conscious agents. Now, hold on, this isn't some fluffy spiritual idea. In his theory, a conscious agent is a precise mathematical object. It's defined by actual equations that describe its possible experiences and actions. The claim here is that consciousness is the fundamental stuff of the universe.
You know, the best way to picture this is like a vast cosmic social network, a sort of infinite Twitterverse of these conscious agents all interacting with each other. And what we call the physical world? Oh, that's just a visualization tool. It's just the headset that some agents, like us, happen to be wearing to navigate this unbelievably complex network.
So this leads to a pretty obvious question, right? Is a rock conscious? And Hoffman's answer is a clear no. The icon that we call a rock is not conscious. But that icon is our interface's symbol for a whole system of other conscious agents whose experience is just so simple, or maybe so alien to ours, that our headset just renders it for us as a boring, inanimate object.
So, what does all this mean? I mean, if reality really is just an interface, it changes basically everything about how we see science, how we see ourselves, and our place in the universe.
Well, for starters, this theory completely flips what philosophers call the hard problem of consciousness. We've spent centuries asking how a lump of unconscious matter like a brain can somehow magically create the experience of being conscious. Hoffman says we've had it backward the whole time. The real question isn't how matter creates consciousness, it's how consciousness creates the icon that we call a brain.
So how do you live with this knowledge? Well, first, you have to take your interface seriously. If you see the icon of a truck heading towards you, you better get out of the way. But don't take it literally. Understand that space and time are not some prison you're stuck in. They are tools that you are creating, moment by moment. And maybe the most profound thing is to start seeing other people not as physical bodies, but as what they really are, direct portals into another stream of consciousness. What's really fascinating is when you notice how these brand new ideas, coming from modern math and physics, they sound an awful lot like concepts from ancient wisdom. The interface sounds a lot like what mystics called the veil of Maya. The network of conscious agents sounds a lot like the idea of a single universal consciousness, the One. And this leaves us with a truly radical new way to see the world. Everything you perceive is an icon, a symbol, and your personal headset. But these icons, they aren't walls separating you from reality. They're doorways. Every person, every object, every single star in the sky is a real portal. And they all lead back to the one fundamental fabric of reality, consciousness itself. So the question is, what are you going to see the next time you really look?